This is a stimulus check update and daily news report. Got some big breaking news. Joe Manchin comes out and says that he is not involved with any new negotiations regarding the Build Back Better plan and is still a hard no. I'll play a video clip from Jayapal reacting to that, as well as her saying there's going to be executive action for lowering prescription drug prices, as well as a few other executive actions. You don't want to miss that clip. $1 billion is going to be given to the meat industry to help with rising meat costs. After 1 million COVID cases reported, looks like there may be more interest for a stimulus check. I'll go over the latest stimulus check articles like this. Millions of Americans owed stimulus checks worth up to $3,800 in 2022. Are you one of them? One city is giving out $500 monthly checks. I'll give you some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below. So Joe Manchin says he's engaged in no negotiations on Biden's agenda this year, but the majority of voters still want it passed. Now, this is a different tone than what I said in yesterday's video. So again, he says he's not engaged in any negotiations. So what he says here, Senator Manchin on Tuesday said he has had no conversations with the White House on Build Back Better this year. This comes after he shut down Democrats' hopes for passing the bill last year, but the majority of voters still support measures within the package per data for progress. So this is different than a tone that I read in yesterday's video. So just before this article came out, Manchin returns to Build Back Better negotiations with demands. So according to Joe Manchin, there were no demands, but there were a lot of different articles like this and different headlines that I read that seemed like Joe Manchin was back on board. So I don't know if that was just the White House or Democrats putting out press articles to pressure Joe Manchin, but take a look at this video clip right here of Joe Manchin of what he says, and then Jayapal talking about different executive actions after this. Check this out.
I'm really not going to talk about Build Back Better anymore because I think I've been very clear on that. There is no negotiations going on at this time, okay? And there's an awful lot of things that had a lot of things that were very, I think, well intended, and there was a lot of things that was pretty far reach on some things in the most delicate times that we have right now, and our country is divided, and I don't tend to do anything that divides our country anymore.
I'm joined now by the chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, Congresswoman Jayapal of Washington. And Congresswoman, I won't start with a question other than react to what you just heard from Senator Manchin.
Well, Chuck, Happy New Year, first of all. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
Look, I think that there are two things happening right now, two pieces of legislation that are absolutely critical. One is voting rights, and you've been talking about that on your show. And the other is Build Back Better. And I know from my conversations with the White House recently that the focus for the immediate week or 2 weeks coming up is on voting rights legislation because it is so critical. Voter suppression is absolutely voter fraud, in my opinion. And there are over 400 voting rights bills that have been introduced in state legislatures just since January 6th. Now, that does not mean that we are not also going to push forward on Build Back Better. And I know that Senator Manchin is key to both of those efforts. I know that the White House has told me that they are not in any way letting up the gas on Build Back Better. And it is why the Congressional Progressive Caucus and our executive board put out a statement saying that while we intend to push forward on legislation for Build Back Better, we are also pushing for the White House and the president to take executive actions on any number of things that are possible. I want to be clear that that is not going to achieve all of Build Back Better. It would be a massive failure if we don't achieve all that is in Build Back Better. But we also think that it's time to up the ante and make it clear to all the corporations that are trying to push back against Build Back Better that we need to get it done, and it will get done. We will do prescription drug pricing executive action. We will do climate change, fossil fuel action, executive action, if we do not get the legislation done. So which would you rather have, the legislation or the executive action? Because one way or another, we are going to deliver for the American people. One last thing, Chuck, I'll just say, Senator Manchin said he doesn't want to divide the country, but I want to be clear that Build Back Better is extremely uniting. Republicans, independents, and Democrats support the vast majority of this bill and the critical provisions that lower costs for American people.
How close are you to having to be resigned to the fact that maybe Build Back Better is going to have to be split up? it was interesting to me what you put in the category of where some executive actions could be taken. You talked about it in prescription drugs. You talked about it in some climate issues. You can't executive action your way around the child care tax credit. So given the importance of that lifeline to so many people, start of the year, gosh only knows how what we're dealing with already right now and the way COVID's disrupting a lot of lives again. Here we go again. That may be a lifeline for a lot of people. Do you think you're going to have to split that off and deal with that independently?
Well, Chuck, in my conversations with Senator Manchin, in the president's conversations with Senator Manchin, he has actually agreed to a whole bunch of things. The child tax credit, to be fair to him, was not one of them. He only agreed to a one-year extension in the framework. And so that is going to be a challenge for us no matter what. Doesn't mean we're going to stop pushing for it. But I want to talk about childcare, about universal pre-K, about elder care. He has agreed to all three pieces of the care economy part of the bill. He has agreed to housing. He has agreed to a lot of the work around healthcare subsidies, Medicaid expansion, and the ACA subsidies. Those pieces have been agreed to. And I think that there are some pieces that haven't, and we did put some things into the House bill that he had not agreed to. But that is why I'm urging us to go right back to the framework that he did agree to as a bottom line, and then get as much else as we can get in there. But I really do think that we're very close. And with tremendous respect to Senator Manchin, he does say different things on different days. So I believe that we can still get a lot of Build Back Better done. And I believe it's actually the president's responsibility now to deliver on that, because as you remember, the president made a commitment to us based on President Manchin's promise to him.
It sounds like, Congresswoman, you'll take anything he'll say yes to. I mean, I'm bottom lining it too much. I mean, you're pretty close, aren't you? That whatever he's a yes on, you'll take?
No. What I've said consistently is that he said yes to the framework that was unveiled before the president went to COP26. We endorsed that framework. There were some things in the House bill that were more than that framework. I want to go at least to that framework, because that is the place where there was tremendous negotiation led in large part because the Progressive Caucus insisted that we were not going to let one bill go without the other. So we now have the text. It should be pretty easy for Senator Manchin to go through and make sure that the text agrees with that framework that we all endorsed, that we all agreed to, and that was the basis of the promise on which the president made his promise to us. So, this is a critical moment. I'm not saying we're going to take anything he'll agree to. I'm saying go back to what he agreed to, because we endorsed that, and it contained the vast majority of our priorities.
Well, there's definitely a different tone from Pramila Jayapal. Now her focus is going to be on voting rights now, which supposedly January 17th they're going to have that vote, and then maybe Build Back Better after that. She still says she wants it to be done, but executive actions could be done for prescription drugs, climate, as well as a few other things, although we haven't heard that from President Biden or the White House. Just Pramila Jayapal on that. So in the latest effort to combat rising prices, White House to offer $1 billion in aid for smaller meat industry producers. Officials have tried to deflect criticism over inflation by alleging that large companies have too much clout. So basically what's going to happen here is the White House is going to devote $1 billion in aiding independent meat and poultry producers, aiming to undercut the four powerful meat producers the Biden administration has alleged are responsible for surging consumer prices. Basically, the four big meat producers have too much power, like a little mini monopoly, and they're trying to give $1 billion to help the smaller ones, to help hopefully bring down the prices of meat. Have you noticed that the prices of meat have gone up still, or have they gone down? Personally, I'm on my 7-day juice cleanse. This is watermelon juice. I haven't eaten anything all year. Probably going to eat my first meal on the 7th, so I haven't seen any meat prices lately. But also this one right here, a record 4.5 million Americans quit their jobs in November. That's a pretty big number. So here is a video clip explaining more about that.
Kelly, a handful of industries are standing out among those where workers are doing the most quitting A million workers walked away in November from the leisure and hospitality business, most of those from restaurants and hotels. 686,000 retail workers said goodbye to the boss, and there were great numbers of resignations in healthcare and manufacturing. The general theme seems to be those industries that lost the most workers in the pandemic, they're having the hardest time keeping people. And both leisure and hospitality and retail, well, they're known for being lower paid industries. While there have been raises, they don't appear to be enough, Kelly, to keep workers from walking out the door and saying, take this job and...
But we have to be seeing the impact of Omicron here as well.
Yeah, we are. It shows up in jobs, school closures, and in airline flights, to name just a few places here. You reported last night 3,200 school closures around the country. Well, according to Burbio, 300 more schools closed today, so that's north of 3,500 right now. Job growth looks to have been hurt during December somewhat by Omicron. That could continue into January. And with all those flight cancellations, airline passengers processed by TSA still 15% below the pre-pandemic level. Now, the hope is that the virus's economic effects are short and not particularly acute, kind of the way people are describing how the virus itself is affecting them personally. If so, we could see a rebound of the data as soon as February.
So there are hundreds, if not thousands, of schools closing. What are your thoughts on that? Is that a good idea, bad idea? Let me know your thoughts on that. Also, U.S. reports over 1 million new daily COVID cases as Omicron surges. So this was 2 days ago, and the U.S. has reported a record high single number of COVID cases with more than 1 million. So it was 1,082,000 cases reported. And the U.S. has also the highest 7-day average of new daily cases in any country, tracked by Johns Hopkins. So if we look at it here, you can see the million was on the 3rd, and then yesterday the 4th, 885,000. Still pretty high. But with all these high cases, this article right here, stimulus checks in 2022, how Omicron could prompt discussions for further relief payments. So we still haven't seen those discussions yet, but a lot of these articles are coming out still expressing a lot of interest for more stimulus checks, but no Congress members or nobody has come forward and said, yes, let's have a general force stimulus check, just mainly states and county levels. So really quick, if we look at the petition here, it is currently for the $2,000 per month to every American. It's at 2,998,000 signatures, so just about 1,200 away from 3 million. But still, we're still seeing smaller city and state stimulus checks. So, for example, right here, 300 low-income residents to receive $500 a month from the city of Atlanta in pilot program. So this is more of a universal basic income or a guaranteed income program. So basically, 300 Atlanta residents will receive $500 per month for a year as a test of basic guaranteed income program, according to Mayor Keisha. Then it says registration is not open yet, but the city said in a news release that those interested in registering must be over 18 and have a maximum income of 200% of the federal poverty line. So stay tuned. If you live in Atlanta, maybe you could be one of those 300 to get the $500 per month. Also, we have another stimulus check article here. Millions of Americans owed stimulus checks worth up to $3,800 in 2022. Are you one of them? So basically, this is just talking about all the federal stimulus checks together, the $1,200, the $600, and the $1,400. And somehow they came up with the math of $3,800. Maybe I'm missing one here. But yeah, so basically they're talking about that, and then there's a few different programs talking about the California stimulus check, giving out the $500 and $1,100. Santa Ana, California, gave out 20,000 cards with $300 on it. That went out December 4th. Maryland with $500 and $300 checks. St. Louis with they just opened up. It's still open actually for the $500 stimulus check. If you live in St. Louis, you could just apply online for that. Yeah, so those are the different stimulus check program rundown right there. So let me know, do you think there should be more state and city stimulus checks? Doesn't look like a federal stimulus check is happening yet, although with cases on the rise, things might change. It's an election year. Politicians may try to have a stimulus check for voters, but let me know your thoughts on all that. That is all the stimulus news that I have for you today to hopefully brighten your day a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, it's Bella tip of the day. I want to tell you the one thing that you should do. do the things that scare you the most, because after you do that, you become a better person. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. So this is day 5 of my juice cleanse and actually feeling pretty good. I'm not that hungry. Still have pretty good energy. Everything is good. So I juiced a watermelon. My wife and I juiced a watermelon. We got like maybe 2.5 of these right here. So a pretty good amount of juice coming out of a watermelon, as well as grapefruit, oranges, celery, cucumber, all that good stuff. Anyways, hopefully you're having a great day. And if you want to check out my latest video, you could click up here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.